Hi, it's Michelle for 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop, and today I wanted to share with you a fun technique for getting a chalkboard look on your projects. I'm going to be making a scrapbook page, and I'm going to show you several different ways that you can kind of mimic chalkboard art on your project. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about a few basic supplies. One of the things that's pretty key for this is to have a good white pen. So I have a couple of favorites. This is the Faber-Castell. I never know if that's the right way to say it. It's a Pitt artist brush. So this one, I have a little scrap paper here. It's going to be, this is the calligraphy one, but there's a brush one as well. So you can see it really does look like chalk when you use this marker. But then my actual real favorite is the Jelly Roll, this by Sakura. And this one, I like it because the white is really bright. So this one's more of like an authentic chalkboard look, and this one's brighter. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is. I also like the Jelly Roll just because it's a thinner line, so you can get more precise with it. And then another thing that's important is to have a good white ink. This one is from Stampin' Up!, an old one, but there's lots of options for white pigment ink or a chalk ink. And then also a sponge applicator. We sell them in the store, Tim Holtz, just these little minis, and the ends pop off so you can trade out if you want to change colors. So that's kind of what I'd recommend to get started, and let's go ahead and learn these techniques. The first thing I like to do is to draw some just kind of artistic lines along the edge. Now, the whole purpose of this chalkboard look is it's a little bit messy. So if you're a perfectionist, which I am, it's going to kind of freak you out and drive you crazy, but you just have to kind of go for it. And remember, you can always get a new sheet of paper if you mess it up too bad. This is Basil Smoothies. It's the color's Licorice Twist, so it's a nice smooth cardstock. And I'm just going to start drawing. Did you see how I had kind of a moment of panic there? Just kind of draw some intermittent lines. Looks like that. I'm going to go along the bottom. Again, take a deep breath. Try not to have a panic attack. And then the sides. And the top, and I'm just kind of doing intermittent, so it's like you could do one solid line if you're more comfortable with that. I kind of just like the look of broken up lines. See, I just messed up right there. It's okay, everything's going to be fine. I made a little mess up right there. And then if you want to just go in and add a secondary set of lines just for fun, you can. Let's see, I'm going to try each one. This is probably easier. Get them lined up. Don't overthink it, just draw. I'm giving myself a pep talk. If you notice on real chalkboard art, you kind of see these just decorative details around the edges of chalkboard art usually. So that's what I'm trying to kind of mimic. All right, so there is the base. Got lines all the way around. Okay, and then next is show you some ideas for words. So let me move this aside. One of the easiest things is to cut letters with some die cuts or with your Cricut machine, and then trace, just kind of do the same thing, add little decorative lines along the letters. So again, deep breath. You can always cut more if you mess it up, but I'm just going to add some little details. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do that with all my letters. But for next, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the smudge technique. So the first thing that you want to do is get your ink dauber and you're going to smudge along the edge. So if you can see how that's kind of just adding like a fine detail along the edge. This is going to look really cool when these are layered on the black paper because the edge will be white and it will just make it stand out a little bit more. So I would do that with all of my letters, and then I'm going to do it also with my page, just along the edge, kind of doing the corners a little more than the edges. Again, just going all the way around. This is supposed to look messy. It's supposed to look like a chalkboard, so it's just fine if it looks messy because that's the look that you're going for. Okay, now the next thing that you want to do, if you think about what a chalkboard that's been wiped off looks like. You know how like there's kind of smudges along the way? You're going to recreate that by just dragging the ink down. And you can blend it. You can do as much or as little as you want to kind of get that smudgy chalkboard look. I'm going to be adding things on top, so if it's not just right, it's just fine. And then you want to be sure and also do some in the middle of the page. The best way to do that is actually you want to start dragging before you hit the paper. If you just go pounce and then drag, you're going to get a circle. You can use a regular sponge too if that's easier for you, but I just kind of like drag as I'm going. So you can see I'm just adding these and then I'm going to really blend them in. Think about how like a wiped off chalkboard looks at the end of the day after the teacher's been teaching. That's kind of what you're trying to recreate here. So it just looks kind of blotchy a little bit. Okay, so I got my letters all finished up, did the outlining and smudged around the edges. So I've shown you kind of how to create the chalkboard look for a background, how to do letters this way. And now I'm going to show you another technique for making chalkboard look for your letters if you wanted to do a title or a sentiment. So I have an old sheet of stickers. I've had this forever. I've used some of them, but not a lot of them. So I'm going to show you how to use these old stickers to make a title. So I'm making a school page, and I think I'm going to use my daughter's 2nd grade picture. So I'm going to put the word second at the top. Now for this technique, you want to make sure that your stickers aren't super sticky. These actually aren't that sticky to begin with, but you could, if you're worried that they're going to like stick to the page and not come off, because we're going to be applying them to the page and then peeling them off. So if you're worried they're going to stick and not come off, I like sometimes just dab them on my pants or on my hand just to kind of get some of the sticky off. I'm also going to start, let's hope I can spell backwards. I'm going to start with the end because I want to do my placement. Let's see, so I'll do an N. Again, just kind of dabbing off some of the sticky. And I'm using the ruler, in case you can't tell, I'm using the ruler to kind of help me get it straight. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist, which I'm trying hard to break myself of, but it's difficult sometimes. Okay, so then I'll do the E, and you want to leave a little bit of room between each of the letters. In fact, I think I want to move these over just a little bit and put even more space. And I'll show you why in just a second. And then we're going to finish off with the S. Just get the sticky off. Okay, so I've got my letters placed there. Now I'm going to take my ink and my applicator and I'm going to smudge over the top of these. So again, I'm going to just kind of start lightly and smudge and drag. And now you want to go well outside the letters. Like this. And just really get it. You want it to really stand out. So when I peel off the letters, I'm going to be left with the leftovers. Okay, now you have a couple different options at this point. You can either take your white pen and trace around the letters if you want to do that and to make them stand out, or you can just peel them off and see how that shows up. I actually like it without the pen. If you feel comfortable freehanding, you can also go in with your pen now and just like trace around and add some little accents and embellishments too. But I actually like that. I think it looks like authentic chalkboard, so I'm going to leave it just like that. All right, now through the magic of television, I have added my letters on here, and I've done some work around the photo. So my daughter's school photo is 4x6. So I have a white piece of paper that's just a little bit bigger than that, and then I've just layered some papers behind it. And I pulled these papers. I thought they looked kind of schooly. They're actually a Christmas collection. It's Cardabella Christmas Delivery. I think it's Cardabella or Echo Park, but it's called Christmas Delivery. So you can't even really tell these are Christmas papers. One of them has like a red stripe on the back, but I just used the black and the green. I thought they were kind of fun, schoolish papers. So I am going to just add, whoops, a few more embellishments here on the bottom. Just kind of layering these under. I cut out like a file folder edge to go under my photo, and then I kind of just stressed it a little. I'm going to tear this one. And I'm just kind of layering these haphazardly just to kind of give it a little bit of interest. You could seriously, though, use this. Like, would you think of that being Christmas? I don't know, maybe with the red and the green, but you could have done, I could have done the red and black too. So when you have leftover Christmas papers, don't forget to use them for other purposes. All right. Okay, I've got that finished. Now I have a few little camera cutouts I thought would be cute to add to it. And then one of the things I think is so fun about this is that you can also stamp in white ink. So if you look through your stash of stamps, I bet you have one that has a star in it. So I was able to find this Halloween set. It has like a tiny star and then a bigger star. So these are fun to just stamp and add all over your layout. Actually, there's 3 sizes of stars. That's fabulous. So I should start with the bigger one and put that in. All right, so I'm going to stamp this in white ink. Again, having a little panic attack that I'm going to ruin my layout, but everything's fine. I'm going to put this one right up here. Remember, it's a chalkboard, so it's supposed to look messy, and it's just fine. I think I'll do one more big one, maybe like right here. And then I'll do some minis just to add in some interest. I'm going to glue these down, but it's going to take me a while to put glue all over the back of them, so I'm not going to make you watch me do that. But I think I'll put some little tiny stars right here. Some of these white ink pads can be really juicy, so I just kind of grab a wet wipe to wipe around it in case I get any white ink along the edges. Let's see where else. Maybe like down here. You couldn't see that. That was off camera, but I did one just down here in the corner. And then I think I'll do some up here. Or maybe right here. Okay, that looks fun. I'm contemplating using my white to go in right here and draw on that, but I'm a little bit nervous that I'm gonna ruin it, so I'm just not gonna do it because it looks great now. I'm afraid I might ruin it. All right, so I got my cameras glued on. Now, just a note about adhesives. You saw me using the Tombow Mono adhesive on the bigger pieces. This is my favorite glue, the permanent adhesive, when you're doing big, long stripes that you need to cover a lot of area. And then I love the Bearly Arts glue. Both of these we sell in the shop, but the Bearly Arts glue is great for like tiny little details. You can actually, with the fine tip, you can go along these tiny little edges and get glue right in where you want it without it like globbing out everywhere. So I love that. And then one last thing I'm gonna add, we have these fun pearl kits. It's got all kinds of different sizes of pearls. This is the mixed set, which has lots of different colors. I decided I needed a little color, so I'm gonna add yellow pearls, and I've got one of them added there. Now, side note, there was a little like blip where I was drawing my line right there, so I just put a pearl over it. So see how creative you can be when you mess up. So I'm gonna add these little pearls, just kind of like sprinkled like confetti on my project. Now, one thing that I like to do, some people have such a hard time placing confetti, like to get that kind of like, oh, I'm not trying, this just happened this way. I can usually like place them pretty good and have them look okay. But if you truly want them to look like confetti, hold them over your project and just drop them and see where they land, and then adjust a little. And you can kind of get that look that looks just exactly like what it is, like they just kind of fell onto the project. So I think I'm gonna find one more tiny one for right there. But other than that, I think my project's pretty much done. So this is a fun technique you can play around with, try the different techniques and kind of mix and match them. It's fun for cards too. And you can use stamps, you can use leftover stickers, you can use die cuts, all kinds of things to make a cool chalkboard look page or card. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.